Hi everybody! Today I want to talk about our saints that we're baptized for, like your saint's name or the feast day that you celebrate once a year. The saint that I'm baptized for is Ruth, Saint Ruth. The saint that you're usually baptized for, that's the name that you'll hear the priest use in all of the services in church, when you go to confession, when you take communion, someday when you get married. So there are different sacraments of the church where the priest will specifically use your baptism name. In my case, I was baptized after a saint that doesn't have the same name as me. My name is Jenny, but I'm baptized as Ruth. And so when I'm in church, sometimes Father Joseph calls me Ruth. So since that's my saint, I'd like to talk about Saint Ruth today. Ruth is actually an ancestor of Jesus Christ. And if you know who King David is, she is the grandmother of King David. That's about 29 or 30 generations before Jesus. So it was a long time before Jesus came. I like the fact that the name Ruth means compassion. So Ruth came from an area, and she was a Moabite. She was from Moab, and so she was a Gentile, which means she was not Jewish. But she married somebody who was Jewish. I'll backtrack a little bit. Naomi was Ruth's mother-in-law. Naomi was married to a man, Elimelech, and the two of them had two sons. They had Mahlon and Chilion. Elimelech and Naomi moved to a village where they technically weren't supposed to, because they were moving to a village where there were Gentiles or pagans, people who were not Jewish. Elimelech died, and so Naomi was left with her two sons, and the two sons married Orpah and Ruth. Eventually, Naomi's two sons died also. And even though Naomi was very sad and very bitter about losing her husband and her sons, and they had no children, there were no heirs, she was still very kind to Orpah and Ruth. And one day she told them that they could go back home, go back to their families, get remarried, and try again. And they both loved Naomi, and Orpah was very sad and she cried, but she went ahead and she left. But for Ruth, she decided, no, you are my family and I'm going to stay with you. And she was very obedient. There was a wealthy man who was a distant cousin. He had some land, and Naomi told Ruth that she needed to go and collect what was left over of the wheat after the people cut the wheat down. And then they pick up the wheat and they make bundles. Well, the wheat that was left over, Ruth would go to the field and she would collect that wheat. Can you hear my kitty cat? I don't know if you can hear her. She's looking out the window. So Ruth would collect the wheat and she would beat the wheat until the barley fell off, and that's what her and Naomi would eat. And Boaz saw her and he wanted to know who she was, and he thought that she was very special. Naomi told Ruth that she should try very hard to fall in Boaz's favor. She wanted Boaz to like Ruth. She thought it would be good for Ruth to marry Boaz so that the family could have children. Let's see if we have a visitor today. Come here. So Boaz saw Ruth and he thought she was really lovely, and Naomi told Ruth to go to Boaz one day, kind of in the barn. It was called the threshing floor, and the threshing floor is where the workers beat the wheat to get the barley for eating. So she went to Boaz, and he decided that she was very special, and eventually they got married. But one of the things that's very special about the story of Ruth is that she was a Gentile, and she became Jewish. And Naomi was Jewish, but didn't quite obey the law the way she was supposed to, and just sort of fell away from the Jewish faith. We're considered Gentiles because we're not Jewish. There are Jews and Gentiles, and a Gentile is somebody who's not Jewish. And we can come to Christ and become chosen just by deciding to follow him and attach ourselves to him. The way Ruth decided to attach herself to Naomi's family and to follow her and to stay with her and to marry Boaz, and eventually Jesus was born from that family. So it was a really good thing that Ruth decided to attach herself to the right beliefs and the right family. And that's what we need to do. And that's the big picture. The little picture is it's really important to be a hard worker, to be very obedient, to understand that sometimes we make sacrifices for somebody that we love, because Ruth decided to stay with her mother-in-law. That wasn't her real family. She didn't have any children by her first husband before he died. So I think Ruth is a pretty special saint. It's also really cool to know the meaning of the name. And I like to know the meaning of my saint's name. Because if Ruth was compassionate, and I am also Ruth, then I have to learn to be compassionate. I'm Jenny, but I'm also Ruth. And this is Mavro. I think we're gonna go now. Can you say bye-bye? Bye-bye. Bye.